Hello friends, welcome again to CMA Gurukul. Today we will be discussing on Ind As 23, that is borrowing cost. What is borrowing cost? Borrowing cost are interest and other cost that an entity incurs in connection with the borrowing of funds. Other costs include finance charges in case of finance lease and exchange differences arising from foreign currency borrowings to the extent that they are regarded as an adjustment to the interest cost. Now, costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition, construction, or production of a qualifying asset form part of the cost of that asset, which is to be capitalized with a qualifying asset. A qualifying asset is an asset that necessarily takes a substantial period of time to get ready for its intended use or sell. Other borrowing cost to be expensed off. Calculation of borrowing cost. To the extent that an entity borrows funds generally and uses them for the purpose of obtaining a qualifying asset, the entity shall determine the amount of borrowing cost eligible for capitalization by applying a capitalization rate to the expenditures on that asset. The capitalization rate shall be the weighted average cost of the borrowing cost applicable to the borrowings of the entity that are outstanding during the period. The WACC calculation has been shown below. Not applicable to nature of transactions will be a biological asset where fair valuation of method is used, and it is to be governed by Ind As 41. Assets that are ready for their intended use or sale when acquired are not qualifying assets, and inventories that are manufactured or otherwise produced in large quantities on a repetitive basis is to be governed by Ind As 2. When fund borrowed but remaining unutilized for a temporary period. To the extent that an entity borrows funds specifically for the purpose of obtaining a qualifying asset, the entity shall determine the amount of borrowing cost eligible for capitalization as the actual borrowing cost incurred on that borrowing during the period less and any investment income on the period of the temporary investment of those borrowings. For example, say company XYZ Limited borrowed 50 crore from bank on 1st of June 2019 to pay a bill against construction of a factory building. The bill received from contractor dated 30th June. In the meantime, XYZ Limited made a short-term FD of the fund where it earned an interest of 25 lakhs. The interest cost of the finance charges for FY 19-20 at 10% per annum on 50 crore would be 3.54 crores for 10 months. Net borrowing cost for FY 19-20 would be 3.54 crores minus 25 lakhs, which gives you 3.29 crores. Now, commencement of the capitalization of borrowing cost. The commencement date for capitalization is the date when the entity meets first of all the conditions. It incurs expenditures on the asset, incurs the borrowing cost, it undertakes activities that are necessary to prepare the assets for its intended use or sale. Note: expenditures on a qualifying asset include only those expenditures that have resulted in cash outflow, transfer of other assets, or the assumption of interest-bearing liabilities. When to suspend capitalization of borrowing cost? Firstly, the entity suspends active development of a qualifying asset, though there are exceptions. First is, capitalization is not suspended even when the construction is stopped but certain administrative or technical work is carried out, and when there is a temporary delay in the natural course of activity like flood during the construction of bridge. Coming back to the suspension point, an entity shall cease capitalizing borrowing cost when substantially all the activities necessary to prepare the qualifying asset for its intended use or sale are complete. And if part of an asset is independently operational, then borrowing cost, which is an integral part for which there is completion of activity, must cease to capitalize. In one sense, we can say that whenever a borrowing cost is for a specific asset and that asset is complete, then we must cease to capitalize any further borrowing cost for the specific asset. Thank you. Please do share, subscribe, like and comment for more updates.